Arizona. Happy Independence Day for those who celebrate. I'm rocking my Flagstaff Downtown Mile t-shirt from today, and I did not earn this t-shirt. I earned it in the sense that I paid for it, but I did not actually run the race. I intended to. My body just didn't cooperate, and so it goes. Yeah, so we got a cool crowd of skewing on the younger side of Dream Run campers here, which has been fun, just to be surrounded by college age energy. Just an awesome time of year. Weather's fantastic. Running is equally so. We've got our pool in full effect. We had how many people in there today? You didn't get in, did you? Okay, it was just Jenny. And our guest this evening is none other than Craig Hunt, local athlete and coach. Welcome, Craig.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great. Beautiful, beautiful place you have here.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I had forgotten that you had been here before. So you came like 14 months ago.
Yeah, just over a year ago for your open house that you hosted. Mm-hmm. Hosted the whole town.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was like, it's funny. It seems like a million years ago and also yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been busy. Yep. Hi, Betsy.
Hello.
Hi.
July.
We are live. How are you doing?
Oh.
There's room for you. There's a room for you right there. Like, yeah, snuggle up. Yeah. So the banter has to do with the fact that I coach Betsy. Mm-hmm. And so I feel that taking the piss out of each other is part of effective coaching.
Yes.
You're a coach. Do you also feel that way? Like, what role does like, honestly, like, just like, I didn't mean to dive right into this, but.
Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
It's interesting to me, like, because we were just discussing this in office hours, how most of coaching is not really the X's and O's. Like, knowledge is important, but mm-hmm. like, it's the people skills that are different, the differentiators for really great coaches. So for me, like, I like, the way I look at it is like, if an athlete is going to meet with me, like, one-on-one, like, I want them to look forward to it. Like, just because, like, we have, oh God.
But yeah, they shouldn't dread the phone call or the Zoom call or the in-person experience that they have.
Yeah, it's like I enjoy interacting with this person, and like I feel like I can be comfortable and be myself, and I feel like just like humor and banter like have a role in that process. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel that it's more than the X's and O's and like the science of running, right? You have to have the culture and the relationship with your athletes, mm-hmm. especially coaching at Coconino Community College. Like, I have more of a team atmosphere, right? So the culture that we create and the environment that we yep. really build is super important, because one or two bad apples can bring the whole tree down. Yep. So you got to make sure that you have some really good roots in place to keep everything stable. And build the relationship with each athlete one-on-one, and mm-hmm. so they feel comfortable coming into your office and talking to you, whether it's about running or their academics or their life, their family, whatever's going on. Like, you're coaching the whole person, yep. not just their running.
Right, Betsy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for the therapy.
Yeah, right. No, sometimes you feel almost like a therapist. Like you're helping people through. You're adjusting their mileage because they're going through a rough patch with their final exams or their relationship or mm-hmm. A death in the family. So therefore you drastically change their training,
right?
Too, because it all goes hand in hand with
yes.
their life and the stress that they're experiencing at the time.
Yes, as I like to say, athletes are not exercise machines.
Yeah, they'll break down. Yeah, they can't just go.
No, they're human beings who happen to exercise. Mm-hmm. Competitively, yeah. So that holistic approach, that's my approach, isn't it, Betsy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We'll talk later. Yeah. So so I didn't mean to. Well, I did. You got to go with the flow sometimes, but zooming like way back. How did you discover running, or did running find you?
How did I discover running? Well. When I was younger, I was just always doing like road races
And
with
where'd
my
you grow
dad
up?
and my older brother. So I grew up in Connecticut. So always playing like soccer, t-ball, like staying active, playing team sports. But then there, there was always, the annual local road race or two that my dad would do, and then I would hop in. My older brother ran, so would just kind of follow in his footsteps. And yeah, just really like excelled at it. Was always like one of the faster athletes on the soccer field, like through middle school, and then I knew once I hit high school that I was just gonna run, like that I was gonna go all in, indoor outdoor track, cross country, like that's what I was just waiting for. Like I was waiting for soccer to be over. Like I wanted to run, I wanted to be competitive.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Can we just get rid of this damn ball?
Yeah, seriously. Like I was the one that didn't care that we had to run laps at soccer practice.
Right. Yes.
And I think so. My high school, New Milford High School, like the program had a lot of success. During my brother's time, they were back-to-back New England champions as a team. So I was stepping into a program that was like defending state titles, like always had a conference champion, things like that. So yeah, I just looked forward to that a lot when I was in middle school, and contributed to that once I got to high school. Yeah, so it was really exciting, and then continued through college, and and on.
So there are 6 New England states. How many of them compete in the high school New England?
So all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. When I grew up in New Hampshire, when I was there, like it was like Vermont and Massachusetts didn't participate. So,
Oh yeah, no, as far as I remember when I was in
Okay.
high school,
Cross
yeah,
country too?
yeah, cross country, track.
Damn.
As far as I
It
remember,
just seems so
yeah.
stupid. It's just
Yeah,
like
you had your
know,
state championship, and then the top 3 at each state meet would then go to the New
Yeah.
England championships,
Yeah.
and you would see
No.
like who was the best in New England, not just your state.
Yeah, it was like Massachusetts and Vermont were just like, no, we're not participating. So like you could be New England champion. It's like there might have been like 5 runners in Massachusetts who could have kicked your ass.
Yeah,
but they weren't there.
You'd have to fact check me, but
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
memory
well,
remembers is
that's an
everyone.
evolution. That's an evolution for the better.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. This is how we roll.
No, it was good.
Yeah, to deviate just slightly, I'm wondering if you have any advice for Story's sister, who is a soccer player. She's a goalkeeper, which is like, there's a lot of running in soccer. Not so much if you're a goalkeeper, but like Story discovered running and has really excelled at it and found a passion for it, and feels like as an older sister, she might want to like hand that down, like did you ever hand down clothing?
Not willingly.
Okay, but it happened. But you're willingly trying to hand down soccer to your sister, so. But no, she's not really.
She's not convinced that running could help her become a better soccer player, or that it could just be a worthy pursuit in itself. So that's what I'm trying to work on.
I mean, I feel like you can't force anything, right? Like if you can't force it on her, then she's not going to enjoy it. Then she's going to hate running. She's going to hate soccer.
She's gonna hate you.
Right? Yeah, she's going to hate you. Right? Right. So you're just like putting a wedge. You're just creating a wedge in there. So lead by example. Put the little bug in her ear. Like you can give her all the facts and tell her that the more aerobically fit she is, the better soccer player she's going to be, the better athlete all around she'll be. But yeah, I think like ultimately, like you never want to force anything, because then it'll really just take the joy, the love, the fun out of it, right? Just lead by example.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I got into running. Like I ran because my dad started running marathons, and he never asked me to run. He never like demanded that I run.
Yeah.
Like he just ran. And I looked up to my dad and I saw him doing it. It seemed kind of normal. I'm like, I want to do that too. It was like completely my choice, but like that was, yeah, it's a little different, like a parent-child relationship versus sibling. relationships. But still, you see it happen. You know, older siblings just simply model something. They make it like, wow, I thought running sucked, but my older sister makes it look kind of cool, and maybe I'll.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I followed in the footsteps of one of my older brothers, but I had 3 other older brothers, and 2 of them were wrestlers, and I did that for like half a season, and I was like, nope, that's not my cup of tea. Like, so even when you do have good examples, you know, sometimes it's just not, I didn't enjoy it, and I went in a different direction. I chose running.
Were your parents runners?
Not necessarily, like my dad would do a couple like weekend road races or local road races, but again, he never really forced anything. He always invited me to go along and do it. But no, he never trained. Like he would just be like, oh, the local 5K, I'm gonna sign up and do it. But he never like trained for it. He wasn't going for a run every day. That was definitely like me and my brother. We just found that kind of on our own, and had a great like middle school and high school program that built us up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always like, I feel like I ask this question of everyone who sits there, but I'm fascinated by it because I had my own experience with it, which was very powerful. Like, just like, it's almost like maybe you with your flute, Amy. Like when you pick up a musical instrument and give it a shot, and you're like, man, I could not suck at this if I stuck with it. Like it just feels like, you know, just like there's a match. And that's what I experienced with running. You know, like pretty much every kid in America grows up with a lot of exposure to sports, and I had my share. But I really did, like, I was definitely drawn to it. I liked being physical, but I didn't have the experience of really being good at a sport until I found running. And then I'm like, wow, this is really painful, sucky sport with no ball, but you know, just like I seem to be better than most people at it. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think it just kind of came natural. I don't know. I just grew up playing sports and soccer. I always gravitated towards soccer, baseball. I didn't like standing around, you know, on the field waiting for the ball to come to me. So gravitated towards soccer and just realized that I was the fastest one on the field or could run the furthest on the field. And I got a lot of positive reinforcement from my coaches and my parents and stuff through that. And so I think that just naturally grew into like that I'm an endurance athlete. I'm a runner. So yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like that point where you start to look, you know, cast your mind forward toward a future. So you have like, you know, you're 14, 15, 16, however old, and you have like that relationship with running, which is like kind of like new love. But then, you know, you can start to think ahead. Like I did. I mean, I knew when I was 15 or whatever, like I ain't going to the Olympics. Like that's just not in the cards for me. But I'm like, I want to keep running, you know, and I want to see where my ultimate limit is. You know, at what point did you start to think about maybe possibly having like a long-term relationship with running?
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as I was in high school, I knew I wanted to run in college. And then I had a really good college coach that looked at my training long-term too. Like I remember sitting down with him, like it had to be like early on, like my second year or whatnot. And we talked about, like I was probably injured at the time or whatnot. And he was like, we're not gonna rush back from this because you have a career beyond college. Like I'm not gonna rush you back just so you can score a couple points at the conference meet, but in the long term hinder yourself.
This is the coach you deserve.
So
you should have had his coach.
Just taking that extra like long-term approach, and I think like for him as my coach, like almost like swallowing his pride because he's like, I'm looking at your future beyond him coaching me. He's like, I'm looking at
Can you give a shout out to this individual who's very deserving of one?
Eric Blake, Central Connecticut State University. Yeah. Raise the roof. Yeah. But yeah, he really took a long-term approach, and yeah, I just very vividly remember that conversation, and it made perfect sense to me because I wanted to rush back. I wanted to be there at the conference meet and go on to regionals and stuff, but ended up not running a single race that season because you know we looked further ahead. Yeah, and I ran beyond college. I ran professionally. You know, I still run competitively. So yeah, it definitely paid off.
Backing up just one step from that, like how much better were you as a high school runner than I was?
I don't know how good of a high school runner were you. I don't know.
Like,
well, did you compete at the New England Championships?
Yeah.
What place did you?
66th in cross country.
In cross country. Okay, so I think you probably got me in cross country. I think I was over 100 in cross country. I don't think. Yeah. But on the track, the 3200, I was third. I got third.
Oh wow, shit. Yeah.
And
out of my league.
I don't know if you are familiar with John Ranieri. He lives and trains here in town. So John Ranieri was like my high school rival. He's a year younger than me, but he was always like half a step better. So like I never won a conference title, never won a state title, never never won a New England title because of John Ranieri, and now he lives and trains here in Flagstaff too, and I'm just like, dang it, like go away.
That's funny. All right, so what was your time for 3,200 meters?
I ran 9:16 my senior year. Yep.
Really fast.
That was definitely my best time. My mile, I ran 4:27, which is still good, but it definitely wasn't as comparable to my 32.
Same level.
Yeah. So I liked the longer distances. Like if there was a 5K in high school, I absolutely would have been running the 5K on the track.
Yeah, longer the better.
Yeah, longer the better. As soon as I got to college, I was doing the 10K my freshman year. Like that's my cup of tea.
Yep. We'll circle back to that, but I would like to take the opportunity to invite the Peanut Gallery here to anyone who's got a question for this brilliant, experienced coach and athlete. We'll circle back around. It's fine. Yeah. I always do like a soft call out, and then I circle back for a hard call out when I demand that someone asks a question. But yeah, the flavor of it is that I'm asking most of the questions. I do not want to ask all of the questions. Like this is a forum for everyone to take advantage.
Yeah, just jump in if you guys got questions, or maybe live on the chat. I bet like Nick and my girlfriend Rachel are watching live because they didn't come in person. So throw a hard question out. They'll know the deep stuff, the deep questions.
Yeah, actually, let's jump on that. When you say Nick, who are you talking about? There's a lot of Nicks.
Yeah, there are a lot of Nicks. Nick Arcianaga, 211 marathoner.
Three-time 211 marathon.
3-time, yep. Way before super shoes.
Yes, right.
Under Armour shoes, I think.
Which is
he ran his
basically
PR
like a
in,
201 now, right?
Yeah. I mean, sub 2, I'd say. But yeah, one of the owners of Run Flagstaff, the local running shoe store here in town. So
who organized this race that I'm repping here?
Organizes the downtown mile, a couple other races, the summer series they have a good hand in. So yeah.
Yes. So yeah.
You can just talk about Nick the rest of the time if you really want.
Well, yeah.
And then when you have Nick on, you can talk about me.
Right. Yeah. But I'm a fan of Nick. I first got to know him when he ran his first 211, when he was a member of the McMillan Adidas-sponsored McMillan Elite team here, and he came out because I was working for what was then called Competitor Group. Now it's Outside in San Diego, and the company I worked for did the rock and roll marathon series, and so there was the rock and roll San Diego marathon, and Nick like kind of, I think I saw him like when he finished, like he seemed surprised. He's like, what did I just do?
Wow.
Yeah. But I got to know him then, and then when I was out here in 2017 doing my fake pro runner experience with NAZ Elite. I went to run Flagstaff to buy a pair of shoes, and who sold me the shoes? Like 211 marathoner, Nick Arcinaga. I'm like, this is very Flagstaff. Like how many runners buy shoes from people who are really that good at running?
No, he's amazing, and I've learned a ton from him, just probably without him even knowing, just us talking and talking about training and races and what races to do later on. He's definitely had, a small impact on, what I've done. I know he's really, he never likes doing the same marathon again. So he's run, I don't know, an absurd amount of marathons, but like each one is different. I don't think he's ever run the same marathon twice.
Yeah.
Which is something I wish he had shared with me earlier on, because like I've done CIM like 6 times.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, I really should do a different
Right.
marathon.
Yes.
Like I'm kind of not wasting, but I'm just having the same experience. Like I should explore a little more.
Yes. I'm very guilty of that too. CIM, I think 4 or 5 times. Modesto Marathon 4 times. Boston 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you find a good one, right? And
Exactly,
you want to
yeah,
go back.
yeah.
Like if it's a fast course and you want to run fast, there you go.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a lot to be said about just having a totally different experience
Yeah.
and finding a harder course sometimes with more hills or different weather, or just traveling to a different city, experiencing different parts of the country or world, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the most memorable marathon I ever ran was a one-off in Kenya. Just ran a marathon in Kenya. I'm like, wow, this is. It wasn't even on my bucket list. it just happened.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, shoot. Yeah. So yeah, there's an attraction to going back to special events that like just have, like, I mean, for Boston, for me, like my dad ran the Boston Marathon in 1983. That's what made me want to become a runner. Like my family trooped down from southern New Hampshire to see my dad run this race. And it was just like that event was in my blood. Like I knew I had to run it myself one day. And once I ran it once, I wanted to run it twice and so on. And so Modesto, it was in my freaking backyard and it was like super flat. And it's like, why not? So like, it's nice to have it actually, like to have those, like, if you're going to run a bunch of marathons, to like have some special events that you do go back to and you just have like this relationship with, but also to explore and like have your Lewa Safari-Com marathon.
You don't need to do the same marathon 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's what I ended up doing.
Where's Jenny? Man, yeah, Jenny has run the New York City Marathon 18 times.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's a lot. That's kind of cool. If you have like a streak, I guess, going
and
like that.
she's a New Yorker, and it would be more than that if it hadn't gotten so freaking hard, even for New Yorkers, to get into New York City Marathon. Yeah. So yes.
We have a question from a viewer. I didn't catch the name, but the question is, how many new recruits do you have at CCC, and how has the program grown since you started?
Oh, all right. Well, we're kind of diving into
Love it.
my coaching at CCC, so Coconino Community College. Super excited for this coming cross country season because we have 15 incoming recruits, which is basically the size of our cross country team last year. We had 16 athletes last year, and I'm bringing in 15 just freshmen.
Wow.
Plus our returners, we have about 6 or 7 returners. So yeah, our team's going to be the largest, and that's entering. So we'll have about 21, 22 athletes entering our 4th year ever, and that's up from about 6 athletes we had our very first year. So we had like 6 athletes, and then we had 12, and then 16, 17 athletes last year, and then just continuing to grow. We'll have about 22 this year. So yeah, the program's gone from nothing to everything. It's been really, really exciting watching it grow.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's really cool to hear. And to me, it's consistent with what I've experienced and like how programs are developed. Like even NAU, like Northern Arizona University, our local university here, like super powerhouse, at least in distance running, if not in track and field all around.
I mean, they had multiple like sprinters, jumpers at the trials, so
Yeah.
they're a well-rounded program.
Yeah, and it wasn't always that way, right? Like it had to be built, and like if you look at when a college university program goes from like off, or even high school, like just from nothing to something, it's always a coach. Maybe also an administration or an athletic department that like values that enough to hire a good coach, and then like that is the inflection point. You look like a Vin Lanana, ran at Dartmouth College like around the time, he's older than me, but but I remember him, like he went straight from running for Dartmouth to coaching Dartmouth. He's 23. He's coaching the guys he used to run with the year before, and like just like they went from kind of sucking to being great, and then he's at Stanford, and then he's at Oregon. Jeff Johnson, who he was his epitaph will say very first employee ever hired by Nike. He's the guy who named Nike. They were called Blue Ribbon Sports. He ended up the girls cross country coach at my high school.
Oh.
In Oyster River High School in Durham, New Hampshire. Jeff freaking Johnson, and the year he arrived, the girls cross country team had one member, and they were state champions 3 years later, and it was like a numbers story. It's like they went from one. He just created an excitement because talent is everywhere. It's like you don't have to like get lucky. I mean to a certain extent you have to get lucky with talent, but like the reason you see so many of those stories were like exceptional coaches who are just able to like build cultures. They succeed almost anywhere, and you see like it's like there was just one runner, and then like there was an excitement built, and then the talent comes in, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah. Yep. How can you just build that environment where people are having fun or growing as a person? You're going to attract more and more athletes, even if you're not winning, right? Winning definitely helps, but like you can be a pretty mediocre program athletic wise, but if your athletes are having fun and walking away with a positive experience, your team's going to continually grow, which is, I think I'm focused on at CCC really like having that positive environment and having every athlete have a positive experience, whether they make our varsity squad or not throughout their career, as long as they can graduate and walk away having, that positive experience. I think I had an impact on them. I really let them continue their running career beyond high school that they might not have had that opportunity anywhere else. And I think that can really mean a lot to them. They'll always look back on it in a good way.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here, honestly, with Dream Run Camp is, I don't know, sometimes, you have your perspective as dream runners, I have mine as the host and the coach, but sometimes I feel like everyone comes in here with certain expectations. It's like, well, I signed up for this thing, and, I signed up for it on the basis of an expectation of what it would actually deliver. And sometimes I feel like people expect a little bit more of a focus on like X's and O's and just like the important but small stuff. Whereas I am, like you, actually more focused on the experience. Like I feel like, it's gonna sorry, Mackenzie, earlier, like you said, you suffered a significant injury, and it was a long road back, and you felt like you maybe fell out of love with running a little bit, and you're not the first person who's come here. Like very different, like some people like much older, like very different journeys as runners, but but like in a similar place, or like I just like I feel like I want this again, and like that's like, well, you came to the right place, because like that is my number one focus. Like I know more than nothing about the X's and O's of training, but I feel like if I can just deliver a great experience, then you're gonna get what you need. Like it's not for me to decide like what any of you need from the experience, and like what you just said resonates a lot with.
I think it's learning your athletes, learning the people that come to your camp and stuff, right? Because some of them love the X's and O's, so you got to recognize, which of my athletes come into my office and they want to talk science, they want to talk running, okay, and then which of my athletes come in and they want to talk about the fun weekend that they had, and like, oh, they hung out with their family and they went to the movies, like you got to just know each individual, like which athlete loves for you to get in their face and like yell at them to get them excited and pumped up for the race, and which ones need to be, have your arm around them and, you talking softly to them and just putting that, that the positive encouragement in their ear. Like everyone's different, and you can't coach your whole team the same way. You got to know the individuals on a personal level.
Yeah. I want to give one more opportunity for people in the room to ask a question before I just plow ahead. Yes.
Another viewer question.
Okay, yeah, cool.
This one's from Rachel Mitchell. What is your favorite place to train in Flagstaff?
Oh, my favorite place to train? Okay, the road runner side of me would say A1 Mountain Road. Love that for long runs, 21-mile dirt road loop. Love it out there. As a trail runner, I'm gonna say, just because it's like right out my front door, I love Observatory Mesa. I think there's a lot of trails back there that are undiscovered. You can't really go for a 20-mile run there, but like if you got a 5-mile or even 10 miles, like you can kind of weave your way around those trails, and you can get some hills, you can stay flat, but yeah, kind of. It's 2 minutes out my door, and I run there almost every day, so it's got to be some of my favorite trails, which I think will probably go against the grain with trail runners. I think a lot of them would say Eldon or Mount Humphreys or something, but now I'll stay a little closer to town.
Yes.
Observatory Mesa.
Yeah, well, worth pointing out that Observatory Mesa is easily accessible from Dream Run Camp, where we sit.
Yeah, right, I mean, within a mile you can be on top of the mesa from here. Probably a half mile you're at the base. Yep. And you got to climb a little bit. It's a fun one.
Shoot, dang, I had one teed up and it's lost. But one thing that kept me from, I waited a long time to start really coaching in a serious way, just because like I felt like I knew like really exceptional coaches. It was part of my job, like as a journalist, to interact with like really exceptional, like the Ben Rosarios of the world, and just a whole bunch of others. And I feel like they have something that I lack. I don't know, just like this kind of like selflessness, like this ability to like really put the person they're guiding above themselves or ahead of themselves. And like, I'm a little bit too focused on me right now. But then I got to a point where I'm like, actually, like I feel that changing. But anyway, like running, like teaching, social work, certain other professions. I wish Jenny were here. She's a teacher. Like priesthood, I guess. Like it's like it feels like a little bit of a calling. Like there's like a pull on you. It's like, I know this isn't the best way to get rich, but like I feel like I really want to do this. Did you have that kind of moment for yourself?
Yeah, well, I think when I was in college, like I knew I wanted to be a coach. So pretty early on, like I knew that's the career field I wanted to go down, and I think that is really due to like having some awesome coaches in high school and then through college. They really, I think they took care of me, and like because of them, I had a lot of success. So I think that just really instilled to me that I want to grow up to be like them, and I want to instill that success and the confidence and the experiences into future athletes. So yeah, and then I think, you know, right out of college, I was a volunteer coach at Grand Canyon University, and I think every coaching stop I've made along the way, I've just had some really good mentors and head coaches above me that, just kind of reinforced everything that I wanted to get into. You know, they were like, they mentored their athletes, but then they also like mentored me as their assistant coach or their volunteer coach, and I learned a ton from them. And then finally, you know, at CCC, I'm the head coach, and I'm able to run the program that I want and instill the education into you know, my assistant coaches that I have.
Yeah. So what does that role look like for you? So you know, how many students are at Coconino Community College?
So we have about 3,000 students. About 500 are full-time students, and 2,500 are part-time students. And no dorms, so 100%, you know, commuter school or online at this moment.
Yeah, so like that's I mean, it's not a unique situation, but it's like not your situation as a college runner, your situation as a college runner. And so like how do you approach that role in terms of like competitiveness, like we want to be conference champions, or you know, we want to, you know, perform at a level that puts us on the map, and which becomes a virtuous cycle because it helps with recruitment. How much of it is like because of the specific nature of it, like it's a very small student body, it's not, you know, it's not like a residential, like there's no camp, like, you know, dorms on campus.
Yeah, it's not a household name. It's not,
yeah,
you know, well known necessarily yet.
yeah,
I think it's a lot of footwork, right? Like I'm going to a lot of high school meets. I'm recruiting pretty hard and heavily within Northern Arizona here. And the biggest thing, I mean, I think just Flagstaff. I dropped the name Flagstaff. Like kids know Flagstaff, they know NAU, they know the professionals that live here. So like I can at least grab their attention right there and like spark an interest. And then I try really hard to get them on campus. And then once they kind of take that on-campus visit, and I'm able to really talk to them in person, meet mom and dad, show them what we have, like I think that's the real selling point for a lot of the recruits and the growing aspect of the program. I think a lot of high school kids are just a little hesitant at first until they get on campus and they're like, oh, this is a family. Our team is a family. You're gonna take care of me. Like we're gonna, you know, help you get into the dorms at NAU. Like because we have a good partnership with NAU. We're gonna help you, you know, make sure you're on track with your academics, signing up for your classes, things like that. So really, just reassuring that, you know, we're gonna help them out, even if they fail a class or they're not running super fast. Like they don't get kicked to the curb. You know, they're still part of the family, part of the team, and we're gonna help lift them up as best as we can.
Yeah. So the sizzle is the steak. Like you focus on substance and like people who are attracted to the substance of it versus NIL deals or whatever. It's like people who value what you value.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Focus on the process, right? And then that will yield results. Right? Focus on getting good grades, showing up to practice every day, making sure that, you know, your athletes feel at home, they're not homesick, they're not missing their family too much, you know, that they have everything they need to then put the extra energy into their running. And the easier we can make that, like the more energy they're gonna be able to put into their running and the better runner they're gonna become. But if they're constantly wasting all their energy about the academic side of school, you know, they're never going to be the best runner that they can be. So we need to make sure that we have like our academic tutors lined up for them, that we're having weekly meetings about their academics, they're registering for their classes on time, things like that, all that little stuff. Just help them out with it, do that extra little footwork for them, and yeah, then they're going to have all that, hopefully that extra focus and extra energy when it comes to practice and running and training.
Yeah. You just were leaning in like you wanted to. Amy has a question. No, I'll ask Amy's question. Another thing I've noticed about just like in exceptional coaches is that there's just kind of like a, for lack of a better word, like a fanaticism about it. Because I've been on both sides of it. You're still an athlete and you're a coach, so you've been coached.
Yeah.
And you see both sides of it. And for me, from the athlete side, one of the things that like you really respond to is a coach that just seems to be like over the top dedicated to you and to what you're trying to achieve. And just hearing you talk, like it reminds me of that, where it's like so much of it is just the energy that the coach puts into it. Like the coach doesn't have to be perfect; they don't have to know anything. But if athletes see, it's like, I go back to my experience with NAZ Elite in 2017 when like Ben Rosario, I was sort of like an honorary member of the team. I was 46 years old. I was an amateur, but I was part of the group. I was there every day, and Ben treated me like just any of the real pros. But still, like I had a little bit more of like a different relationship with him than the real pros who were half my age had. And so like I would see him, like we would go to, I remember once going down to Camp Verde. So Camp Verde is a place where you can access like in less than an hour from Flagstaff, and it's at like substantially lower elevation. And you can run faster, with more oxygen. And I went down there with Ben one day during my stay here, and he pulled like one of those measuring wheels out of his car and like measured the route. And like, I knew he had been in Camp Verde the day before with some of the real pros, and he had done exactly the same thing. Like there was no need for him to like wheel measure the route, but he told me, it's like, I want my athletes to see me doing this.
Yeah.
Like I want them to see this level of commitment and attention to detail. Like that's why I'm doing it. Like, does the exact distance matter? No, it does not. But it's like, we're gonna act like it matters for like, a larger purpose, which is more cultural.
No, absolutely. And I think that's, like I'm still running and training. And I think like my athletes seeing me get out there every day, and do what I'm doing, like really inspires them. Or like so my whole team, like our training logs are all on one Excel sheet, so everyone can see exactly what everyone's doing, but I put my training up there too. So they can kind of look forward to, they think whatever 50 miles a week is super high for them, but then they look at me and I'm running, 90 miles. So maybe that's like, they're like, oh shoot, well, I can't really complain, like coach is doing this. So yeah, just being like an open book, like with what I'm doing, and hopefully that inspires them as well. If you come into my office at CCC, like I have a couple of my like key jerseys that I've worn throughout my career, like cased up in my office, and that's purely like for when my recruits come, like to like really spark their interest in the story that I've had and what I can take away from that to help them in their training and their journey as well. And I think that really does inspire them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's say a little bit. Story has a question.
Oh, I'm still formulating it.
Yes. Don't you dare lean forward when you're in the audience, because I assume that means you have a question. Yeah.
Should I?
You're teed up.
Okay. This is kind of generic, but I was just wondering if you had a favorite event in high school or college, and if that changed like post college.
Yes, and yes. So high school and college, I think I liked cross country. Cross country was my jam. That's what I really liked. On the track in high school, the 3200, and
5K,
college.
5K if they'd had it.
5K, yeah, if they had a 5K. Heck, if they had a 10K in high school, I probably you would have seen me in it. And in college, the 10K on the track. So basically, the further I could run, that's what I always gravitated to. And then, yeah, out of college, road marathon. And then now I've gravitated even further. Trail 100Ks, trail 50Ks. Hopefully get a 100-miler in the next year or so. So just further and further. I don't know if I'm down to do like Coconino, which is like a 250-mile race. I haven't gotten that far. I'll start with a 100-mile race.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
right?
I know, right? It's the next progression,
Yeah.
right?
Like, now what?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, we'll see where life takes me.
Yeah, oddly, your credentials as like an adult elite athlete have not come up in this conversation very much, but you feel like twice qualified for the Olympic Trials Marathon, is that right?
Once.
Once, okay.
Once, yep. So 2020, I'd qualified.
Yeah.
Qualified with my debut marathon at CIM.
2:15 and change?
So I debuted in 2:18:23. So the standard was 2:19
Okay.
in 2020. And then, I
Subsequently-
ran 2:15:29 at Grandma's Marathon and at the Marathon Project.
Wait,
Twice, yes. Ran my PR twice.
what's that like?
So we've talked about Ben Rosario. So I remember after the Marathon Project, he was like, "How'd you do?" And I was like, "I tied my PR." And I was kind of disappointed. But then all it took was he went, "It's better than 1 second slow," and I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Right? Like it would have been 100 times more disappointing being 1 second slower than my PR than it would be to just tie it. Right? Because it's a funny story now.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, I specifically remember Ben saying that, and it stuck with me, and it put a smile on my face, and I was like, that's a great way to look about it.
Yeah.
Could you see the clock? Were you like,
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a lean at the line and everything, and the person that finished right in front of me was one of my college teammates. So like I wanted to beat him too, and I was just like, I gotta.
Damn.
But he got me by like a second or two.
And you didn't break your PR.
And I didn't break my
that's,
PR. No. But it was great because I went into that race thinking that I was just gonna run like 2:17, 2:18. Nothing in my buildup was going as planned. I remember talking to my coach at the time, and he was asking me my game plan. I was like, I'm just gonna go out pretty conservative, and like I don't think my fitness is there. Workouts didn't come together until the last like week or two. And then I found myself in a really good groove, and get to mile 20 or whatnot, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is actually turning into a really good day. Like I just got to stick with this group.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean that was a huge boost in my confidence, knowing that I can have a B- build up training period, but still come away with an A+ race.
Okay.
To everybody out there, yeah.
Yeah. That's what you see. Like when breakthrough. I mean, I don't know if you would call that a breakthrough performance, but you tied your PR. But if you look at like the total build that an athlete has to a breakthrough performance, and you just grade each and every individual run, like on a traditional like high school like A+ to F scale, there's going to be a lot of B- runs, like in the build up to a breakthrough race. Like it's like B- are okay as long as there are also some B+ and A- and the occasional, maybe even one A+. Like that's it.
Yeah. Like you don't have to be hitting home runs and grand slams during your training, right? You just gotta, in baseball terms, just get a man on base every day. Just get out there.
Small ball.
Small ball, yep. And then, week after week, month after month, year after year, putting in the work. I mean, and that probably had a big part to do with it too. Like I was probably just a more experienced marathon runner at that time. I was probably my 4th or 5th marathon at that time. And so having that confidence, the experience, and then years and years of marathon training under my belt, you know, definitely benefits. It gives you more leeway in having subpar training,
Yes.
but being able to
Yep.
execute still.
Yep.
We have another question from a viewer.
Yes.
Carrie Ellis asks, will CCC add other sports teams like track?
Excellent question. So I don't know if you saw in the Daily Sun just last week, we will be adding track and field, indoor and outdoor track and field, men's and women's, in 2025, 2026. Yep. And then we are in some really good discussions in expanding the athletic department as
Don't
a
look at
whole
me,
as
look
well.
at him.
So adding sports such as like esports, soccer, basketball, things like that. Those are in discussion, definitely. So yeah, there's some good growth going on with Coconino Community College.
I feel like all these questions are coming from people you planted.
I don't think who asked that one? I don't think I knew that one.
With like 3 numbers after that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your following. All right, so don't mind Clementine. So yeah, we'll wrap it up now. It's really been super cool picking your brain a bit. Yeah, thankful for the questions from the gallery. We needed to emphasize that in future Dream Run Camp get-togethers, because when Betsy's reticent and can't come up with a question, if we have our worldwide live audience, that's helpful. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
I'm sorry that Nick and family fed you so much barbecue, because we have delicious garden burgers and sweet potato tots for dinner. For anyone who wants it, it's available. You shared your pizza, Amy, so we can share our garden burgers and sweet potato tots. All right, that's it for this week's episode of Dream Run Camp Live. Tune in next week for a special surprise.